to do this like David Letterman's top 10 list. I'm going to start at number 10, and I can't believe I'm about to do this, but I'm going to give the Dallas Cowboys the the number 10 slot. I can't believe they're in the top 10. The Cowboys went out and smacked around the Atlanta Falcons to the tune of 37-21 on Sunday afternoon. Tony Romo actually looked like a pro quarterback. He completed 21 of 29 passes for 311 yards and 3 touchdowns. It appears that Romo has finally found his replacement for Terrell Owens in New Jersey native Miles Austin. For the second consecutive game, Austin played a huge role in the victory for the Cowboys. He had 6 catches for 171 yards and 2 scores. Meanwhile, the Cowboys' defense frustrated Matt Ryan all afternoon long. It made him look like an actual rookie again. It was the most impressive win for the Cowboys to date. And their next real challenge won't be for another 2 weeks when they go to Philadelphia. They get Seattle next week at home. And Seattle's been dreadful this year. You figure they should get the win there. So the Cowboys are number 10 on my list. Number 9, and this was my former number 1, the New York Giants. What the heck has happened to the Giants? Life is not so fun feeling like a Smurf, and that's what the Giants are feeling like right now. The once all-powerful Giants early in the season, but they've dropped 2 decisions to 2 really good teams after smacking around 5 god-awful teams to start the season at 5-0. Maybe we've overrated the Giants a bit this year. It's starting to look like it. Eli Manning looked like the pre-January 2008 Eli Manning when he threw 3 interceptions in a game, was sacked a couple of times, and only completed 52% of his passes. And I thought Mark Sanchez was the only quarterback struggling in New York City. At least Eli hasn't started eating hot dogs on the sideline. There's only so much an NFL team can do when they start turning the ball over. The Giants turned it over 4 times, and when that happens, that usually means you're going to lose the game. The Giants are heading for a pretty tough stretch now. They got the Eagles coming up on Sunday. Then they then they bring in Atlanta and San Diego into the Meadowlands before they go to Denver on Thanksgiving. We're going to learn a lot about the Giants in these next 4 or 5 weeks, whether they are for real or they are frauds. As for my number 8 team, I'm taking the team that beat the Giants on Sunday, and that's the Cardinals. In case anybody who in the Yankee game was actually watching Giant Cardinal game, the Cardinals came out there and actually matched the Giants punch for punch and even out-physicaled the Giants on Sunday night because they had a lot of short yardage situations. For example, when Eli Manning threw the interception at the 20-yard line, they ran the ball with Beanie Wells, so he gained about 10 yards to the 5-yard line. Then Kurt Warner hit Jason Wright to give the Cardinals the sudden 24-14 lead, and that basically ended the game. Look out for the Cardinals, because it appears they're starting to gain a head of steam, and the NFC champions are on their way back. At number 7, I have the New England Patriots at 5-2. Ever since their early struggles this season, the Patriots have been playing better football, killing the Tennessee Titans 2 weeks ago 59-0, and then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 35-7 this week in England. I guess this means England won't exactly want to have the National Football League back in their country again. It's not like they really enjoyed it 10 years ago when they had the London Monarchs and never showed up for those games. Let's move forward to number 6 on our top 10 power rankings. And that is, I can't believe I'm going to say this, the Cincinnati Bengals. Let me repeat myself. The Cincinnati Bengals. 5-2 are the Bengals after they destroyed one of the best defenses in football in the Chicago Bears, 45-10. Carson Palmer, 5 touchdown passes. Ocho Cinco, let me read his statistics here. Ocho Cinco had 118 yards receiving, 10 catches, and 2 touchdowns. In the 45-10 route, the Bengals had 30 first downs and 488 total yards of offense. They're now tied for first place in the AFC North with the Pittsburgh Steelers at 5-2. If this keeps up in Cincinnati, not only will everyone want to have an HBO documentary done on them every summer, but Marvin Lewis will be Coach of the Year, if not Genius of the Year. Number 5. Brett Favre has a special song to sing for those fans in Minnesota. Do you know the Toby Keith song, How Do You Like Me Now? Well, Brett Favre wants to sing that to you guys. Brett Favre finally showed up. The old Brett Favre that we know from his days with the Jets and the Packers showed up, throwing the game away for Minnesota in the 4th quarter against Pittsburgh. He was stripped of a fumble and was returned 77 yards for a touchdown, And then when Minnesota actually had a chance to win the game in the fourth quarter inside the last 2 minutes, Favre did what Favre does best. Throw a touchdown pass to the other team. He was intercepted by K'Aaron Fox, who ran 82 yards to pay dirt for the touchdown to give the Steelers a 27-17 victory. Get used to it, Viking fans. This is what Favre does. He is the master of breaking your heart, and he will do it throughout the second half. He has not had a good second half in a season in a very long time. Now let's move on to number 4. I'm going to give it to the Steelers. Their win against the Vikings was their most impressive win of the year. Even though their offense was not that spectacular, they did just enough, and their defense was fantastic against a high-powered offense with guys like Sidney Rice, Adrian Peterson, Percy Harvin, and I'll give Favre his credit as well. They did a fantastic job. There's a reason why the Steelers are the world champions, and they have won 2 straight games to get themselves back into things at 5-2. At number 3, I'll go back to the Broncos. They're 6-0. They have had a fantastic start to the season. Who knew that guys like someone like Kyle Orton would throw only 1 interception through the first 6 games, and leading this team to an undefeated record. And their defense has been one of the best. They're first in points allowed. They are first in the league in rush defense and second in the league in total defense overall. They've done a great job so far in the first half of the season. Number 2, I'll go with New Orleans, 6-0. And the reason why they're not number 1 has to do with their defense, which was just awful against the Dolphins. Here are 3 points to remember about the Saints. The good, they can score at will. And at any time in the game, no matter how poorly they play, Drew Brees threw 3 interceptions on Sunday against Miami, and yet still led the Saints on a huge comeback in the fourth quarter, scoring 22 points in that fourth quarter to beat the Dolphins 46-34. The bad, that defense. In the last 2 games, the Saints have given up a combined 61 points, which is not very good. And the ugly is, if the Saints continue to struggle on defense, they're going to put a lot of pressure on offense to have to outscore everybody in a game to win games. That's not a good formula for success. But they do have a very favorable schedule that could keep the Saints unbeaten for a long while. And as for my number 1 team, it's the Indianapolis Colts. Congratulations. These guys just find a way to win every week. I mean, Peyton Manning is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's having one of his best seasons of his career. He didn't break another record for a passing yards in a game. He entered the game against the Rams with 5 consecutive 300-yard passing efforts, and that was snapped. But he still threw for 3 touchdown passes in the 42-6 round. The Colts defense is much maligned and criticized over the years. It's been fantastic this year. They've only given up 77 points. They knocked around Mark Bulger all afternoon long, sacked him 3 times, picked him off twice, returned 1 for a touchdown. They have been solid for this group. So the Colts are my number 1 team at 6-0. However, it's debatable. You could say the Saints are number 1 with that high-powered offense. And the pretty good defense. You could say that Denver should be number 1, considering they beat Dallas, New England, and San Diego in 3 consecutive weeks. It's up for grabs. It's still very early in the season. It's going to get much more interesting in the next 2 or 3 weeks to come as we start heading towards that Thanksgiving holiday and the stretch run of the NFL season. This is Cohen's Corner Sports. Again, you can find us on BleacherReport.com by searching Michael Cohen. You can also find us online at CohensCornerSports.blogspot.com. Okay? And we will see you some other time. Happy Halloween.